When Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visits the White House tomorrow, President Barack Obama will tell him that his country could face a bleak future, one of international isolation and demographic disaster if he refuses to endorse a U.S. drafted framework agreement for peace with the Palestinians. Obama will warn Netanyahu that time is running out for Israel as a Jewish majority democracy, and the president will make the case that Netanyahu alone among Israelis has the strength and political credibility to lead his people away from the precipice. In an hour-long interview Thursday in the Oval Office, Obama, borrowing from the Jewish sage Rabbi Hillel, told me that his message to Netanyahu will be this: if not now, when? And if not you, Mr. Prime Minister, then who? He then took a sharper tone, saying that if Netanyahu does not believe that a peace deal with the Palestinians is the right thing to do for Israel, then he needs to articulate an alternative approach. He added, it's hard to come up with one that's plausible. Unlike Netanyahu, Obama will not address the annual convention of the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, a pro-Israel lobbying group, this week. The administration is upset with AIPAC for, in its view, trying to subvert American-led nuclear negotiations with Iran. In our interview, the president, while broadly supportive of Israel and a close U.S.-Israel relationship, made statements that would be met at an AIPAC convention with cold silence. Obama was blunter about Israel's future than I've ever heard him. His language was striking, but of a piece with observation made in recent months by his Secretary of State, John Kerry, who until this interview had taken the lead in pressuring both Netanyahu and the Palestinian leader, Mahmoud Abbas, to agree to a framework deal. Obama made it clear that he views Abbas as the most politically moderate leader the Palestinians may ever have. It seemed obvious to me that the president believes that the next move is Netanyahu's. There comes a point where you can't manage this anymore, and then you start having to make very difficult choices, Obama said. Do you resign yourself to what amounts to a permanent occupation of the West Bank? Is that the character of Israel as a state for a long period of time? Do you perpetuate over the course of a decade or 2 decades more and more restrictive policies in terms of Palestinian movement? Do you place restrictions on Arab Israelis in ways that run counter to Israel's traditions? During the interview, which took place a day before the Russian military incursion into Ukraine, Obama argued that American adversaries such as Iran, Syria, and Russia itself still believe that he is capable of using force to advance American interests, despite his reluctance to strike Syria last year after President Bashar al-Assad crossed Obama's chemical weapons red line. We've now seen 15 to 20% of those chemical weapons on their way out of Syria with a very concrete schedule to get rid of the rest, Obama told me. That would not have happened had the Iranians said Obama's bluffing. He's not actually really willing to take a strike. If the Russians had said, don't worry about it, all those submarines that are floating around your coastline, that's all just for show. Of course, they took it seriously. That's why they engaged in the policy they did. I return to this particular sensitive subject just to be clear. I asked, you don't believe the Iranian leadership now thinks that your, quote, all options are on the table, end quote, threat as it relates to their nuclear program? You don't think that they have stopped taking that seriously? Obama answered, I know they take it seriously. How do you know? I asked. We have a high degree of confidence that when they look at the 35,000 U.S. military personnel in the region that are engaged in constant training exercises under the direction of a president who already has shown himself willing to take military action in the past, that they should take my statements seriously, he replied, and the American people should as well, and the Israelis should as well, and the Saudis should as well. 1 Thessalonians 5, 1 through 7. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. So when it pertains to the Christians, that day shall not overtake Christians as a thief, because ye are the children of light and the children of day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober or alert. The Israel peace treaty, end times verses, is prophecy which reveals that there will be an Israel peace treaty just before the end times, where Antichrist begins his 3.5-year reign of terror. This Israel peace treaty prophecy is of an Israel false peace treaty that will be made between Israel and a man who controls a nation or group of nations who portray peace but actually has a sinister plan. The Bible warns us to beware of any type of peace covenant or peace treaty made between Israel and any other country. It is written that this particular peace covenant will be a sign of the end times being ushered in. Daniel chapter 9 verses 26 through 27. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood. And unto the end of the war desolations are determined, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, 7 years, and in the midst of the week, which is 3.5 years, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. These verses tell us that an empire headed by the Antichrist will confirm a covenant, a deal, or treaty with Israel for 7 years or 1 week, but will break the covenant in the midst of the 7 years and set out to destroy Israel. In other words, many countries will confirm or agree with a peace treaty made between Israel and another nation, group, or countries, and then break the deal during the 7-year time period at the 3.5-year mark, which brings on the end times. Are we there yet? Let us keep watch. Thanks for watching. God bless and shalom.